What does Shopify Payments charge your business to process a transaction on your Shopify store? My name is Maria Sparagus. I help tons of 7- and 8-figure merchants figure out their payment processing to be efficient, cost-effective, and reliable. Today, I'm going to talk to you about what it costs for your business to use Shopify Payments to process your transactions online. So first, a quick overview. What are the different plans available and what are your options? Number one, you have the $29 a month plan, which is essentially your starter plan. And with that, if you use that option, you are paying 2.9% plus 30 cents for every transaction that comes in. Now, to put that into perspective, if your product is $100, you're basically paying 59 cents in order to be able to sell that $100 product. Now, if you're just starting out and really just testing the market and seeing what's going to work, this is really your best plan. Especially if your sales are under $10,000, you really want to start at a basic plan of $29 per month. You can always upgrade later, so you don't have to worry about it. If you're really a beginner business, a startup, you want to choose your basic plan. Now, once you get to the $5,000 mark, it really all depends. If you sell things that are higher ticket, for example, $500 or more, then you might want to upgrade to the medium intermediary plan. That plan costs $79 per month, and you get charged 2.6% plus 30 cents a transaction. Now, if we go back to our $100 transaction, the fee you would get charged is 56 cents a transaction. That is only a 3-cent difference. So you can imagine you need a lot of transactions to make up that difference. In fact, you'd need about 1,666 transactions in order to equal that. So if your store is very small, or if you're not doing more than a couple of hundred of transactions, you want to avoid that, taking that plan and paying the extra fee. Now, your more advanced plan is really for sellers who are at least at $25,000 a month or more. And I'm talking about relatively small tickets, like people who are selling things for about $100. That plan is $299 per month, and that gives you a fee of 2.4% plus 30 cents a transaction. Now, if we go back to our $100 transaction, that comes out to 54 cents. So between the starter plan, which is $29 a month, and the $299 advanced plan, we're looking at about a 5-cent difference on a $100 purchase transaction. So you have to understand, obviously, in order to be able to take that advanced plan, you need to be making a lot of sales. In fact, what you'll need to be making 540 sales on your Shopify store in order to break even, again, at that $100 price point. So before you jump the gun and start taking these large plans and thinking, it's just a couple of $100, but I'll be saving, you need to consider and do the math. What is your average ticket? Like, what are you basically selling your product for? And do the calculations between the 2.4%, the 2.6%, and the 2.9%. Oftentimes, if you have a low ticket, which is under $500, I can assure you, you need to be making over $25,000 a month or more in order to benefit from that advanced plan. So do the math before you get started. And if you are a startup, as I mentioned, you really just want to take the basic plan and stick to learning how to sell your marketing, your product, your service before you start worrying about a couple of cents here and there for your payment transaction fees. Now, there's one thing you have to keep in mind. If you're using Shopify Payments, there are other fees that they don't advertise. I mean, just like pretty much everything in life, you really have to read the fine print. Now, Shopify Payments, if you're a US merchant and you are charging customers outside of the US, you will be paying a 1% fee in addition for any foreign card. Also, if you decide that you want to accept local currency in these different markets, they will charge you a 1.5 to 2% foreign transaction fee. So this starts adding up quite quickly, right? If you have an international store and you're really just kind of testing different markets, for example, Canada or the UK or different places in Europe, then you can end up paying 5.9% plus 30 cents a transaction to make a sale outside of the US, which is huge, right? For your profit margin. I mean, 5.9%, if your profit margin is, let's say 20% of your product, that's eating up a quarter of your margin. So I know I'm giving you guys a lot of math, but you have to keep in mind that This is just some simple calculations that you can do on a spreadsheet so you can really figure out, if using Shopify Payments to process your transactions is really the best option. Now, if you work in an omnipresent environment and sometimes you meet clients in person or you go to trade shows or you sell some stuff in different shops and so forth, you definitely don't want to be using Shopify Payments for your in-store purchases. The transaction fees are usually over 2%, can go up to 3%, and there is really no need for any business that is a physical business to use Shopify when there are plenty of processors that will likely give you fees that are under 2% for your physical business. Now, you may be wondering, are there any ways to save any money on your payment processing fees with Shopify Payments? Well, yes, there is. As I mentioned earlier, you really have to choose the right client for you. Number two, if you are taking transactions that are not within your country, for example, if you're a US merchant, if you're taking orders outside of the US, you may want to think of alternative payment processing. For example, PayPal might be cheaper than Shopify Payments because of all the exchange fees and foreign transaction fees. You may also want to think about getting your own payment processor and payment gateway, especially if you're over the $25,000 per month mark. For example, there's one thing that most Shopify merchants don't know is that Shopify integrates directly to a gateway called Authorize.net. Authorize.net actually opens up your payment solution providers tremendously to thousands of different payment processing options. It's not something that they advertise because they want to keep you in the Shopify sphere. They want you to use Shopify Payments for your transactions. They want you to use Shopify SEO in order to promote your store and so forth. These are all different business lines for them that allow them to collect more money from your business. So Authorize.net is a little hidden secret in Shopify that you can plug into your store, which gives you access to thousands of different payment providers like my company, DirectPayNet. And what you can do with that is you can shop it around and find the best payment processor for your store. And then you can go into your Shopify store, choose Authorize.net as your payment processor, and pretty much 98% of payment processors in the US can actually plug into Authorize.net. So you have pretty much unlimited options and you can actually start paying a lot less for your payment processing fees. As I mentioned, if you're a startup and you're really just getting your store started, you want to just plug in that Shopify Payments basic plan and then progress to the bigger plans until you're ready to move on to your own payment gateway. Now, as one bonus tip, even though it does cost a lot to process foreign transaction cards and foreign transaction currencies with Shopify Payments, I still recommend you do that because you will convert more sales in your foreign markets if you charge them their local currency. So don't skip out on that. I know it's a little bit annoying to be paying, almost 6%, 7% for a transaction, but you will convert more sales by adding that dynamic currency and accepting the different currencies. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you have any questions on Shopify Payments and how to calculate what your fees are and what you're paying, feel free to drop a line down below and myself or someone from my team will get back to you with an accurate calculation. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content.